रावणचार्य जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय जय गोपी जन वल्लभा गिरिवरधारी जय यशोदानंदन व्रज जनरंजन जमुना तीरा वनचार्य जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधवा कुंज बिहारी हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे जय प्रभुपादा प्रभुपादा जय प्रभुपादा जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमती डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमती डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज श्रील प्रभुपाद की ग्रंथराज श्रीमद्भागवतम की all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to Shri Guru and Gauranga. ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायमुदीरये नष्टप्रायेषु अभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवती उत्तमा श्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकी नंदनाय च नंदगोपः कुमाराय गोविंदाय नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. This morning we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4th, entitled The Creation of Fourth Order, Chapter 27, Attack of Chandavega on the city of King Puranjan, Text 12. Yukteshu evam pramattasya kutumba asakta chetasa asasada sa vai कालो यो अप्रिया प्रिययोषितं प्रिययोषितां युक्तेष्व एवं प्रमत्तस्य कुटुम्ब आसक्तचेतसा आससादा स वैकालो यो अप्रिया प्रिययोषिताम् युक्तेष्व एवं प्रमत्तस्य कुटुम्बासक्तचेतसा आससादा स वैकालो यो अप्रिया प्रिययोषितम् युक्तेष्व एवं प्रमत्तस्य कुटुम्बासक्तचेतसा आससादा स वैकालो यो प्रिया प्रिययोषितम्. Please recite. युक्तेष्वें प्रमत्तसक्तचेतसा आससादा स वैकालो यो अप्रिया प्रिययोषिताम् युक्तेष्व एवं प्रमत्तस्य कुटुम्बासक्तचेतसा आससादा स वैकालो यो अप्रिया प्रिययोषितम् युक्तेष्व एवं प्रमत्तस्य कुटुम्बासक्तचेतसा आससादा स वैकालो यो अप्रिया प्रिययोषिताम्. Anybody from Vaishnavis? युक्तेष्व एवं प्रमत्तस्य कुटुम्बासक्तचेतसा आससादा स वैकालो यो अप्रिया प्रिययोषितम्. We will see word to word meaning. Yukteshu, to beneficial activities. Evam, thus. Pramattasya, being inattentive. kutumba, to kith and kin, asakta, attached, chetasa, consciousness, asasada, arrived, sa, that, why, certainly, kala, time, ya, which, apriya, not very pleasing, priyayoshitam, for persons attached to women. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada Srila Prabhupada Ki. Translation. Thus King Puranjana, being attached to fruitive activities, karma kandiya, as well as kith and kin, and being obsessed with polluted consciousness, eventually arrived at that point not very much liked by those who are overly attached to material things. Please recite the translation in response. Thus King Puranjana, being attached to fruitive activities, karma kandiya, as well as kith and kin, and being obsessed with polluted consciousness, eventually arrived at that point not very much liked by those who are overly attached to material things. Papat. In this verse, the words Priya Yoshitam and Apriya are very significant. The word Yoshita means woman and Priya means dear or pleasing. Death is not very much welcome for those who are too much attached to material things, which culminates in sex. There is an instructive story in this connection. Once, when a saintly person was passing on his way, he met Prince, the son of a king, and he blessed him, saying, "My dear Prince, you may live forever." The sage next met a saintly person and said him, "You may either live or die." Eventually, the sage met a brahmachari devotee and he blessed him, saying, "My dear devotee, you may die immediately." Finally, the sage met a hunter and he blessed him, saying, "Neither live nor die." The point is that those who are very sensual and are engaged in sense gratification do not wish to die. Generally, a prince has enough money to enjoy his senses. Therefore, the sage said that he should live forever. For as long as he lived, he could enjoy life. But after his death, he would go to hell. Since the brahmachari devotee was leading a life of severe austerity and penances in order to be promoted back to Godhead, the sage said that he should die immediately so that he need not continue the labor hard and could instead go back home, back to Godhead. A saintly person may live or die, for during his life he is engaged in serving the Lord, and after his death also serves the Lord. Thus, this life and next life are the same for saintly devotee, for in both he serves the Lord. Since the hunter lives a very ghastly life due to killing animals, and since he will go to hell when he dies, he is advised neither to live nor to die. King Puranjan finally arrived at the point of old age. In old age, the senses lose their strength, and although an old man desires to enjoy his senses, and especially sex life, he is very miserable because his instruments of enjoyment no longer function. Such sensualists are never prepared for death. They simply want to live on and extend their life by so called scientific advancement. Some foolish Russian scientists also claim that they are going to make man immoral through scientific advancement. Under the leadership of such crazy fellows, civilization is going on. Cruel death, however, comes and takes all of them away despite their desire to live forever. This type of mentality was exhibited by Hiranyakashipu, but when time was ripe, the Lord personally killed him within a second. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahiyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guroh Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. First of all, I seek blessings from all the assembled devotees, in particular His Grace Anandmay Prabhu, so that we can discuss from Srimad Bhagavatam. In the past few verses, there is description about what all Puranjan did. So in the previous chapter, we have seen the story of Puranjan being narrated by Narad Muni. And now in this chapter, this Puranjan's further activities are described. So in the previous chapter we have seen he has gone out hunting for forest, and then he comes back and his wife becomes unhappy, and then finally they make up. And now Puranjan and Puranjani, although the name of the wife of Puranjan was not described in previous chapter, this chapter describes her as Puranjani. So no specific name, Puranjan wives, Puranjani, like that. Now Puranjan and Puranjani are husband and wife enjoying their life. And it is described that they had 1,100 sons and 110 daughters. So when we generally read from Bhagavatam, it looks very, kind of unreal. How can somebody produce 1,100 sons? I mean, in this Kali Yuga, it is not possible. That to just one husband and one wife. It is not described that Puranjan had multiple wives through whom he produced 1,100 sons. It is Puranjana and Puranjani. Like when we read 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, I don't know, 5th canto or 6th canto, somewhere when the Daksha section comes, and when Daksha begot sons, it is described that Daksha begot 10,000 sons. Right? And then 10,000 sons grew up, and Narad Muni preached to them, and they all left materialistic way of life. And then again Daksha became frustrated. And then he again begot 1,000 sons. Means what? Is it just a plaything that you produce 1,000 sons? Especially when you are brahmachari, when we are reading, it just goes by number. But when you become grahastha and when you handle 1 son, 2 sons, 3 sons, like then you know what exactly it means to have 10,000 sons. And then 1,000 sons for Daksha. And then Daksha again told them, okay, go do austerities so that you also can produce children. And then again Narad Muni preaches to them. And then again they leave the materialistic way of life. And then Daksha becomes very disturbed. And then he begets 60 daughters. I mean, is it when we go to ATM, we just press the number 10,000 and 10,000 rupees comes out. Is it as easy to say that we got 10,000 sons? So those times and ages were a little different, but at the same time we should understand that they had that capacity. Like one man and one woman now in Kali Yuga can have how much capacity? 3 children, 4 children, right? Maximum 5 children, right? But those times, the whole civilization was based in a different way. Shri Shri Radha Madan Mohan Bhagwan ki, Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki, Shri Shri Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Mai ki, Shri Prabhupada ki. So the society was completely different. There were so many children getting produced so very easily. It's not that difficult. Like when Krishna married 16,000 queens, from each of the queen, Krishna had 10 children, plus one daughter. And each of the son of Krishna had 10 sons. We generally think that only Krishna had 16,108 wives. And at max we know that 16,000 queens had 10 sons. But the further information is that it's not 10 sons, it is 10 sons plus one daughter each. And each of the 10 sons of Krishna had 10 sons. So 16,108 wives, 1 lakh 61,000 sons, 16 lakh grandsons. It's a huge family. Like that. So here King Puranjan had 1,100 sons and then 110 daughters. So generally in the modern life, people don't know how to live a very religious way and produce children in a very religious way. They think that just by combination of man and woman, just children are produced. Not like that. At least in those times, if you have a particular Vedic sacrifices, and by the phala swarup of that Vedic sacrifices and austerities, you are awarded certain power through which you can produce children. Just like Dasharath Maharaj was capable, he was a very strong Kshatriya, but he did not have children. So by the Putra Kameshti Yagya being performed, he got that power and blessing by which he could produce 4 sons. So in those times, people were capable that, you acquire a power, I can produce 1,100 sons. And even when you do such particular sacrifices, can somebody take care of this sound? Just tell them to reduce the sound. So, not just producing children, they can even have the control over what gender the child is being born. Hare Krishna. So just like Daksha, when he had his consciousness to produce children, he produced 10,000 sons. It's not that he had 50-50. Okay, fine. So in this way, in the past or in the Vedic times, people were very much capable of producing children very easily. It was not difficult. Like, in modern times we see if a couple had 2 sons, 3 sons or 4 children, then they start feeling that I can't take care of the next child being born. But here in the Vedic times, the whole scenario was that if the children are born through religious ways, then automatically the mother nature provides abundantly. But if people become sinful, the supply reduces and even normal human beings cannot live happily. Like that. So we have seen in the past purport what all Prabhupada has been speaking about family life, children. So now, one danger, the family life, especially if you have so many children, is that you become kutumba asakta chetasa. See the second line, if you can scroll down. It says, kutumba asakta chetasa. Imagine Puranjan had 1,100 sons. So if he wants to call all his sons, he has to sing like Sahasranamam. Sing Sahasranamam, all sons will come. And how do you remember their names? These times you may not even have 1,000 friends to remember names. Right? 1,100 sons. And then he got married all those 1,100 sons. And then he had grandsons. So imagine how busy Puranjan had become being involved in children, grandchildren. Generally, people, materialistically oriented people, they like that. I have 10 children, 10 children have 10 children, so they become so much engrossed in Kutumba Asakta. So the key is the moment you achieve half of your life, if you see here, previously it is described Puranjan spent half of his life in producing children. Say 50, 60 years till he was producing children. The key in the Vedic times is the moment you reach half of your life, you should retire from your active engagements in fruitive activities. Otherwise, fruitive activities will bring you to the force of death. Just like here, Puranjan, being so much attached, Kutumba Asakta Chetasa, like Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita, Maya Asakta, become attached to me. Asakta Chetasa. But here, Puranjan became Kutumba Asakta Chetasa. 1,100 sons and their daughters, and the daughters got married to their son-in-laws, then daughter-in-laws, then grandsons. So much of engrossment. So he lost track of time. Generally, a person in family life, he gets so much engrossed. You catch any person who gets married, he will say, I have no time. One wife, one son, only a person starts telling, I don't have time. Time is very less. 1,100 sons. So now generally for such kind of people, death is very, very unpleasing situation. Old age is very, very unpleasing situation. Generally nobody likes death. In this material world, the whole idea is that one wants to become immortal. And this want to become immortal is a demoniac tendency. Not just modern scientists have. Hiranyakashipu also had this mentality. Whenever you see this kind of stories, itihasas, you will see that a demon does lot of tapasya, and when a supreme being appears, either Brahma or Shiva or Lord Vishnu or whosoever he may be, he immediately wants, I don't want to die. Like Hiranyakashipu asked Brahma, and I don't want to die. Then Brahma said, no, not possible. Then Hiranyakashipu is thinking that I will trick Brahma. Nor inside the home, nor outside the home, nor on the earth, nor on the sky, nor by animals, nor by human beings, nor in the day, nor in the night. Like that. So this is a mentality of the demons. Like I remember when I was young, in 1990s, like teenagers, we were hearing some things like, the modern science is on the verge of a very great breakthrough. And what is that breakthrough? By year 2000, we would have produced such medicines that by giving to some people, if you administer that medicine, the human beings won't die. This was kind of a talk in 1995, 1996, something like that. And when 2000 was coming fast approaching, they announced that we are on the verge of the breakthrough, stay with us. It's not 2000, it's 2005. In next 5 years, we will get that breakthrough. I don't know how many people followed that, but it went on and on. And they were telling finally, 2020 is the time when we will bring a medicine by which nobody dies. And thankfully, coronavirus came and showed what is reality of this world. So in this way, nobody wants to die. But still death is forced upon a person. So an intelligent person who has read scriptures, who has got the mercy, he will understand why is it that by nature, why is it that I don't want to die? Right? One has to analyze, why is it that I don't want to die? And at the same time, why is it that I am forced to die? Like for example, it's not just in human beings. You go to even any animals also. You catch them and try to kill them, they will resist. No living being happily accepts death, whether that be small ant or a four-legged animal or a human being. Nobody accepts death willingly. And at the same time, everyone is forced to die. Right? Nobody in the history of mankind, you will see that somebody forgot to die. Like sometimes we are so busy we forget to eat. Right? Sometimes we forget to do something. But none of us forget to become old, and none of us forget to die. It is not within our capacity to do so. So especially if you see the words given in this verse and translation, there are many direct and little indirect words also. Like here Prabhupada, instead of yo apriya priya yoshitam, priya yoshitam, Prabhupada translates in the translation as attached to material things. So although the Sanskrit word may define that yo apriya priya yoshitam means those who are attached to women, Prabhupada writes to those who are attached to material things. Because generally, when a person is attached to woman, it is the attachment does not remain just attachment between man and woman. In the beginning, it may be so. Man and woman are attached. The man is attached to woman. A woman is attached to man. But that does not remain only that much. It expands a lot. It expands to so many material things. Money, assets, land, animals. Like generally we now, like a husband, wife or a couple, they think that we should have cars. In the previous time they used to think that we should have animals, like we should have cows, we should have bullock carts, like that. They used to think like that. But that mentality is now transformed into a different thing. So generally Priya Yoshitam means very, very expanded, attached situation. So nobody likes that, to come out of such a situation. So here Puranjan, Yukteshva evam pramattasya. Pramattasya here Prabhupada translates as being inattentive. Pramattasya also means being mad, being maddened by. Just like if you see a bhavara, bhavara means what is honey bee. He is maddened by the fragrance of that lotus flower in which he sits. He is maddened. Why he is maddened? Because he is just not able to see anything. Pramattasya. Mattasya means maddened or one who has lost good senses, called mattasya. Pramattasya means very, very specialized way of a person who is maddened. So with this bhavara, what happens is he is so much engrossed in the fragrance of that lotus, that he goes and sits on the lotus and he is not coming out. And we know lotus blossoms in the rising sun, and when the sun sets, the lotus closes, the petals get closed. So this bhavara, what happens, when the sun is setting, he should actually get up from there and go away. If he is intelligent, if he really wants to enjoy the nectar, he should come back next day. But because he is so much engrossed, he just don't want to leave. And when the lotus petals get closed and he is choked inside, still he is not able to come out, and because it becomes stuck, he dies. So that is pramattasya. Pramattasya means mad attachment, mad engagement which leads to death. Pramattasya. Evam yukteshva evam pramattasya. In this way, he was so thoroughly engrossed in the family life, is that ultimately he led to death. So many people can see in their own lives. When you talk to your grandfather, grandmother, they tell that after we got married, we just don't know how the time passed by, and we became so old. We did not do any progress in spiritual life. Nothing. So this pramattasya is of not just Puranjan. When we reflect back and see in this material world, How many of the people are so pramattasya, so much engrossed in materialistic way of life? Just you see how people are engaged. Like some in earlier times, the way the finances and the investment schemes were, is that you invest and you just forget. You will get returns at a different time. But nowadays, people are so pramattasya that the financial schemes are so engrossing you, that every moment you are thinking of where should I invest my money, right? Where should I invest my money? And it is so fluctuating that if you don't become fully engrossed in that, you will die. Because the way the market is created, it makes you pramattasya. So, in this way, the family life has this danger, that you don't know what's happening in your life. You lose track of control in your life. Like when you were brahmacharis, those who have taken brahmachari training, their life is well within their control. But when you get married, that control tends to lose. You cannot just simply think straight. You have children, you have wife, you have so many other things to do. So Puranjan is a typical example of a person in this material world. In else other ways, in other places I was hearing this class, this 1100 sons of Puranjana signify 1100 kind of desires a living entity gives birth to. Puranjani is intelligence, and Puranjana is a living soul. So what are these 1100 sons? Various things that you manifest from your intelligence for your own enjoyment. Various things. So it might come as various attachments a person has: cell phone, cars, various types of dresses, various things within this body. We want to enjoy food, like that. They could have said, Bhagavatam could have said, this is anyways an enigmatic story, right? He could have said 10 sons for namesake. No, 1000. Why 1000 means? Generally 1000 is a number, but generally the word called 1000 also gives that idea. It means many, many, many. Sahasra. Sahasra means 1000, but when the Sahasra is spoken in Sanskrit, it means many, many, many. It means you cannot conceive, like that. Just like when we say Vishnu Sahasranamam, it definitely means 1000 names of Lord Vishnu. But when we refer to 1000 names of Lord Vishnu in a particular way, it means that Lord has millions of names. So much names that you don't remember. Like that. So many desires that even you don't have a count. A human being in this material world, with this intelligence, he develops attachments to so many things that he himself does not remember that I have attachment to so many things. So this is how a living entity is lost in this material world. And this death refers to not just one lifetimes of death. This death refers to unforgetful situation of a living entity for millions and millions of lives. Like in a simple study, if a living entity analyzes this world, he will understand that this material world is temporary. Right? In a very simple way, if you have little intelligence. And you will also understand that I have been living many, many lives. Simple intelligence. So how many lives we have been living, we don't know. So this death refers to you forgetfulness of your own position. Like that. And other reason why in this story Narad Muni is using king's example. He could have used a Shudra's example also to describe. Is that in this material world, even if you have a very good so-called situation in your society, even if you are a very great personality in this material world, still you will have to become old and die. So these examples are given. Sometimes some people think that by great effort I will become a very influential person in this world. But the Bhagavatam says that even if you become such a person, still you will die and your body decomposes. Like for example, who is the most powerful person in this material world right now? Can we say that it is President of America? We can say President of America. Can he say that, okay, I will not become old? Whole American population, Indian population, you all become old, no problem. I will not become old. Can he pass a resolution in the parliament, in US parliament? No. Okay, President of America is not capable of that. Can President of Russia, Prime Minister of India, and American President together come to a resolution that we three will not become old? Together, strength. So here neither individual strength works, neither collective strength works. The fight against old age is your own. And now we being very young, it becomes very easy to speak. But when we really become old, Prabhupada is writing, King Puranjana finally arrived at the point of old age. In old age, the senses lose their strength. Like oftentimes a young man is very capable of seeing, walking around, hearing, eating, doing everything by himself. And when you become old, for every small thing, you'll have to depend on others. So they have walking stick, they have some things, hearing aids. With all these things also, he still wants to enjoy. Even an old man who is about 80-85 years old, if he is told that there is a scheme where you can get lot of money, he will start becoming interested in that. Right? This is how people get very easily tricked. But the thing is now when you become old, the story completely changes. You are not your king of your own life. You are forced to do certain things in a particular way. You cannot walk swiftly. You cannot eat swiftly. You cannot live a happy life. Like that. But still what happens is that desire remains. Like for example, a person has a desire of trekking a mountain. So in his young age, he is very happy. You can just trek. But when you become old, you cannot trek a mountain. Not possible. You have a desire to eat lot of food. When you become old, not possible. Generally, a young man has a desire to unite with an opposite sex. Young man can do that. Old man cannot do. He does not have that capacity to do so. So in this way, generally what happens is, there is a formula for frustration. Formula for frustration. What is the formula for frustration? Expectation of happiness minus reality of life. Where do you stand and where do you expect yourself of happiness? That difference is frustration. And as time grows, the expectation of reality decreases. And as the expectation of reality decreases, your desire to enjoy actually keeps increasing. So that frustration keeps on growing. Like that. So that is the reality of old age. You will see, you meet a person in his old age who did not live in a very Krishna conscious way. Generally, his mentality is frustration. Who has lived his life in Kutumba Asakta Chetasa, his life is frustrated at the end of life. So in the Bhagavatam, Narad Muni, through this story, is teaching all of us that how one should not be lost in this material world, forest of this material world. Develop so many desires, sahasra desires. So these sahasra desires, the other reason why in this Bhagavatam it is described that these 1100 sons had grandsons. So it is not that we have a desire and we manifest one thing, that one thing does not remain there. That one thing will in turn produce further desires. The one thing will in turn produce further desires. So if we get lost in these millions of desires, then Krishna is not visible so easily. So when we come to Krishna consciousness, our first desire, our primary desire is to always serve Krishna. We should have Maya Sakta Chetasa. Krishna is telling, You should invest your whole consciousness, whole thought process in me. Then what happens in Krishna consciousness is that why you don't become so easily frustrated is that the reality and your expectation of life are very close to each other. We want to serve Krishna, we want to please Krishna, serve Krishna, and that we live in that reality. So that reality and expectation of life meets in Krishna. So that's the reason why when we become Krishna conscious in true sense, we will not have frustration in life. Because we know that Krishna loves us unconditionally. In this material world, nobody loves you unconditionally. Even if that kith and king, Kutumba, Prabhupada is translating kith and king, we think that these people love me unconditionally. It doesn't happen so. Nobody loves you unconditionally except Krishna. So only when we love Krishna back, then there is reality. So that reality gives us happiness. So Narad Muni is telling Prachini Parishad, and in turn all of us, what we should not do through this very, very graphic, exemplary story. So Prabhupada speaks about a saintly person giving various blessings to others. You can read and understand why that saintly person gave such blessings. But basically, in this life, one life we have got, if we do not use it in Krishna's service, then immediately this whole expansion of material desires waits for a person. So this story is instructive to all the persons. In particular, I thought for Grahasthas, because the example is of a person who got married, has so many children, who has a kingdom, who has X, Y, Z, like that. Of course, it is applicable to everyone. Don't think that Yo Apriya Priya Yoshitam is only applicable to males. It is applicable to females also. Yo Priya Priya Yoshitam means a woman who is attached to a man, like that. So here, when a Grahastha understands this verse, it should be a husband and wife, although you have attachment to each other, that attachment should be directed towards Krishna. All the desires that come out of that attachment also should be directed towards serving Krishna. Quite difficult a challenge, but Narad Muni speaks, Bhagavatam speaks. It is possible if you understand Bhagavatam from that perspective. So thank you all very much for giving me opportunity to speak on this verse. So there is further description of what happens to Puranjan. You will see that, and in the further time there is Chandavega who has 360 soldiers who are attacking Puranjan. So that 360 describes 360 days of a year. So I was trying to actually get what is this 1100, but even I couldn't get what is this 1100 in a number specific to why it is given like that. Probably if I read further other Acharya's commentaries, maybe if anybody has read, or maybe if Anandmay Prabhu knows why that number called 1100 sons have been given, maybe we can hear from him. Okay. So thank you very much. Any questions or any comments? Yes, Prabhu? Yeah, if there is a mic, we can give it to Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Dhanavad Pranam.
Hare Krishna.
Prabhupada said nobody loves unconditionally, but mother loves the child, whether he's success or whether he's failed, always.
Okay.
Unconditionally. And along with that, Krishna also father, like that. Can you please explain?
Okay. See, in this material world, generally a person loves another person with some expectation. Now, of course, definitely a mother loves the child unconditionally. It's quite a bit true, right? But then, if you see from other perspective, why does a mother loves only her child unconditionally? The condition is that the mother is loving the child unconditionally because the child is her own child. Why does the mother does not love all children unconditionally? Right? So that is one condition. But of course, sometimes some couples have this idea that we love this child unconditionally or in a way, so that when we grow up, he loves us back or he takes care of us. So there is a very less element of conditions in mother's love for child. But definitely that is to some extent true. If you see in that framework of the child is very small and then the mother loves that child unconditionally. But when the mother grows up, the child grows up, that equation changes. It doesn't remain as it is. So when we say love unconditional means that love does not change with any other factor. That is the meaning of loving unconditionally. Like gopis loved Krishna unconditionally, we can say like that, because even when Krishna left the gopis and went, in a way Krishna kept them in agony of his separation. Still gopis loved Krishna. Like that. That is a very different section. But yeah, I believe I gave a little bit explanation to this. Yes, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Prabhu, just wanted to check my understanding, like, because 100% unconditional is not possible in this world, but we know that we are bound by the society, family, and all the relationships. So, is it that we have to be affectionate, thinking them like, because they are also sent part and parcel of Lord, they are sent for our protection, physical and other things, protection. So, we have to see in that perspective.
Okay, see, when we are living in a current society and we have so many attachments, so we should see it as a duty to be done. So if you are at the duty level, things doesn't become very complicated. Like if a husband knows that my responsibility is to take care of my wife and my children, so long so that they are well to do. Like Kardama Muni got married to Devahuti, and Kardama Muni took care of Devahuti so long so that his sons were grown up. And then Kardama Muni continued his journey of his Krishna consciousness. So that kind of attachment, that kind of duty-bound attachment is good. But the other side also is there. If you become too much attached to wife, you don't progress in Krishna consciousness only. And then you become Kutumba Asakta Chetasa, then it is finished. Like that. So yes, we do have attachments, but that attachment becomes purified when we are serving a spiritual master. So that is very important. If we do not regularly get in touch with our spiritual master and get instructions of how do we progress, then you are lost. Just like you have a mobile SIM, sorry for giving wrong example or current day example. If you do not recharge within 6 months, at least once, then the number is lost. Similarly, if every day you are not touched in Krishna's Krishna consciousness, then very soon you will be lost and you will be not found in Krishna consciousness. Like that. So yes, there is a lot of attachments. We have to see it in only duty perspective. Like that. So thank you all very much for giving me opportunity. Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki.